So Josh, why does it seem like whenever the spot price drops really quickly, the premiums spike up fast, but when silver goes up quickly, you don't see those premiums go down near as quickly? Why is that?
Well,
In today's video, we're being joined by a coin shop owner from Minot, North Dakota, Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion, and we're going to be talking about premiums and the fact that with this recent silver spot price drop, premiums seem to be going up. And I'm going to even ask him about a viewer's question where he said that it seems like whenever spot price drops quickly, the premiums spike up, but whenever the spot price goes up, it doesn't seem like the premiums come down near as quick. And why is that? So today we're going to talk about that and more. And we're going to ask Josh some hard questions about the premiums and why they work the way they do. So let's get into it. But before we do me a favor, don't forget to like and subscribe. We are at almost 200,000 subscribers, and I'd love for you to be one of them. My channel is sponsored by sdbullion.com. New customers can get their first order of gold or silver at spot by going to sdbullion.com/new. All right, guys, we are back with Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion. Today, we're going to be talking about silver prices and premiums and what it's like in his coin shop. Josh, welcome to this channel. How are you, my friend?
doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Awesome. So listen, I want to get right into it. I don't want to beat around the bush here. I want to talk about premiums. I've noticed that the premiums are starting to go back up. Monday, when I made that video, they hadn't really moved yet. They haven't had time to react. These last couple of days, they have had time. Tell me what's going on in your shop. Are the premiums actually going up on silver with the spot price dropping? And why? Why would they go up if spot comes back? Why does it work that way?
Yeah, most important question, why? The quick answer is yes, premiums are going up. Why? Because I think a lot of wholesalers, most in fact, are sitting on inventory where they're underwater. If they hold current premium, where meaning they have spent more for current holdings than they can sell it for. That's the shortest answer. You know, I'm in a business where I always worry about replacement cost, and I know wholesalers do too. But when we get big dips, or you can call it a crash, maybe not a crash, I don't want to scare people, but when you get big dips like we've experienced in metal the last several days, that's what happens. Nobody's willing to take that loss at any stage from mine to the stacker's table. You know, it could go from the mine to a refiner, to a mint, to a wholesaler, to maybe a secondary wholesaler, to a retailer, then to your stack. Nobody's willing to take less at any one point, any less of the piece of the pie, or take a loss through that process. So premiums inevitably do have to go up. I haven't seen gold premiums rise yet, although gold did dip. It didn't dip as much as silver on a percentage basis. At least I don't think. Maybe you can talk on that. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but silver, most definitely premiums have went up. My wholesaler contacted me right away Monday morning when we all woke up and saw the huge dip in silver price. He said, just to warn you, I mean, they haven't went up yet, but by tomorrow you can expect replacement costs are going to go up. So I loaded up quite a bit of silver on Monday, mostly 90%. I bought a box of Eagles. I bought a box of rounds, just to, you know, I guess hedge my bet, thinking maybe it's the bottom, or at least the temporary bottom. I was pretty close, but sure enough, the next day premiums went up. From my particular wholesaler, it was minimal. On something like a silver round, it went up 5 cents. Now that doesn't sound like much, but it is when you're buying thousands of ounces at a time. Sometimes that's all we make on a big sale, is that 5 cents. So I think that's just the start, quite honestly. If we see premiums stay at these, you know, lower levels, you know, we're, as we film this, we're, I don't know, 27 and change right now with silver price. It could continue to go up. And I know that's frustrating for people. And I don't know, that's just how it is.
So what I've noticed, like, you know, when I did that video on Monday after the prices dropped, I checked all my online retailers, and I noticed there really wasn't much of a change. But then I started looking at it on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I think maybe I just did that video a little bit too early. You know, I'd waited until the markets actually opened in this side of the world, and I gave it a couple of hours before I started taking screenshots. It was around noon on Monday or so that I was actually checking the prices, and they hadn't really reacted yet. But now I'm looking at it, and I do notice that, like, Eagle prices have went up, the premiums, I should say, the rounds have went up, you know, and I looked at some of the, you know, sheets that I have access to, you know, I'm not going to tell you how, but I have access to them. And I did notice some of the wholesalers going up as well. Now, not 5 cents. I actually noticed one wholesaler going up 30 cents on rounds. They also went up 30 cents per ounce on 90%. So a little bit more than what your retailers moved up. I don't think 5 cents is really that big of a deal given how big of a drop it is.
Right.
But there is a comment on my channel I wanted to ask you about, and this is someone who actually replied to you, so you've seen it. But he said, or he asked, I should say, why don't premiums drop when the price spikes up? It seems like a one-way street. And I totally get where he's coming from, because it does seem that the premiums tend to go up a lot quicker than they come back down when the markets change. Why is that?
Well, I understand the frustration in the comment because I see that and I get asked that a lot. It's not entirely accurate. Premiums for quite a while were low. They weren't pre-COVID low, and I don't think we're ever going to get to pre-COVID.
Well, let me stop you there, and I don't mean to interrupt while you're talking, but
that's all right.
Pre-COVID, I kind of disagree. Like, I don't remember premiums from wholesalers being spot, like just flat out no premium at all, even pre-COVID. Am I wrong?
Technically, no, you're not. So let me circle back then. Not, I mean, what we experienced the last, 4 to 6 weeks in terms of where spot price is and where demand is and where premiums are wasn't all that normal. We had spot prices in the 30s where we had low demand. I mean, extremely low demand. And there were videos of other shops and, other YouTubers, including you, interviewing people who just weren't moving product. They were getting inundated with people selling stuff back in. So that's, in my opinion, that's just kind of a blip. Because what happens then, shops, both retailers and wholesalers, have too much inventory. And if they can't sell it, well, I have to free up some cash. How am I going to move it? Boom. The premiums that you charge have to drop in order for you to move the product. So, in a sense, we had great opportunity, not so great as you look at it today with silver price, but where we had, next to no premiums on the wholesale level for several weeks on certain things, 90%. Some major retailers selling rounds at spot, some even back a little bit of spot. Just to free up cash. So that was at a time where demand really had waned because the spot price was high. So, is that normal? No. Did it last very long? Obviously not, because spot price now has crashed $4 down from where we were a little over a month ago, and premiums are starting to go back up. So, it's very predictable what's going to happen with premiums, but only predictable on a reactive perspective, I guess I would say, because once, like right now, we have spot price dipped a whole bunch. I knew premiums were going to go back up. I didn't need, my wholesaler to tell me. I knew it was going to happen, but I definitely appreciate that he did. That's just the nature of the market. Now, why, to that comment, why does it not work in reverse that quickly? Well, that's a good question. I think it's a lot tougher for, first, it's the wholesaler to lower their prices. As long as demand stays at a certain rate as spot prices are going up, what benefit does it do to them to lower what they're charging as long as they're still selling as much, right? So it's once they get to the point where demand starts to wane from the consumer, which I consider myself a consumer because I'm having to buy it from this wholesaler. Once that happens, now they start looking at dropping premiums. So it's a little bit of a slower process, but premiums do drop when spot prices go up, but usually not until demand starts to wane because of the higher prices. And it's just a slower turnaround at that point. So, I mean, that's how I look at it. Maybe you have a different opinion.
Well, no, that actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it. It's not really the spot price, like you had said, when it's going up, causing those premiums to change. It's the demand for the silver.
Yep.
So you make a very good point. I talked to, over the last 4 to 6 weeks, multiple dealers that were having trouble moving product. I had comments from dealers in my videos saying that they were having trouble moving product, and silver was 31, 32. And even when you see $31 and $32 an ounce, and you see premiums at less than $2 for rounds, $1.50 here, $1 there. I was at a coin show where I saw 1 ounce rounds for just 50 cents over spot. Nobody was buying them because spot price was so high. So I guess, and this is just, my thinking from what you said and what I've seen, I guess once those numbers come down, now we're sitting at $27 an ounce silver. $1.50, $2 an ounce over spot is still less than $30, whereas when it was 31, even 50 cents over is 31.50 an ounce. So
True.
I think ultimately maybe people are really kind of just looking at that overall cost, maybe using their cost average of their stack as a basis for wanting to buy. And when it gets too high, they stop buying, and so they have to lower the premiums and try and get people back in. It makes sense from a business perspective. I think the issue that some people have with it is, the whole idea for them is that they're supposed to be buying silver, to preserve their wealth, to get their money out of the fiat dollar. But then when they go to a shop and they buy it and they pay $2 an ounce over spot, then this is just an example, and then they go back to sell it and they're $1.50 back, which some shops are, as I've shown in recent videos. They're like, wow, I'm losing $3.50 right out of the gate. So what would you say to people that think about it on that level?
So yeah, I've had that happen in the shop where people have, I know they've bought it from me at a certain price and they come back out of necessity to sell it back and it's sold at a loss. That happens all the time. Can you prevent that? Well, not really if you put yourself in the situation. So what I do is I encourage people to not put forth more of their cash into precious metal, you know, not thinking about expenses for life. I mean, you should stack cash also. Don't put all your cash into metal because you still have to pay your fiat bills. So there's nothing worse than having to sell at a loss. So don't get into silver looking at it as a short-term investment, because if you do, I mean, granted, you can time it and you can do pretty well and make money, but in the market we're seeing now, if you have to sell now, you're probably going to take a loss if you bought recently. So I don't know, you just really got to look at it as a long-term process for yourself in order to not get frustrated with the daily ups and downs, both in spot price and buyback prices and premiums, because it truly is a long game. Silver is.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And I've said on this channel many times that you can't put all of your money into silver. You need to put the money aside that you would be sitting in a savings account anyway. And even at that point, not all of that, because you do need to have funds for emergencies, to pay your bills, so on and so forth. You don't want to be forced into a position where you have to sell something at an inopportune time. So where are we going to go from here, Josh? I mean, do you think if assuming that spot price doesn't recover, back into the 30s, do you think demand's going to creep up? What have you seen in your shop the last couple of days with the spot price drop? Have people been buying?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but some of your viewers do. I had a flash sale on Monday,
Yes, I knew about it.
and I was selling mixed 90% silver for 49 cents over spot. I, of course, filmed the video on the weekend and put the video out on the weekend when silver was almost $2 an ounce higher. I still honored the sale. Essentially, I sold out quickly. I sold thousands of dollars face value and 90%. So with that dip in price and the cheap premium, yeah, I had a great day on Monday.
Well,
My
was it a great day? Did you actually take a loss on that?
well, I had a great sales day, and the way I look at it, I was able to replace not all of it. Quite honestly, I bought out my wholesaler on 90%. Everything he could possibly get his hands on, I bought out on Monday at that lower price. So, and I was able to buy it at spot. Now, spot bounced around in probably a 30-cent window between the times I bought different amounts. So, calculating, after I pay for shipping, yeah, maybe I made 5 cents per dollar face that I sold or something like that. I mean, it wasn't much. And I still have to do all the work of packing the orders and processing payments and whatnot. But demand was very high on Monday because of that low price, low spot price, and a low premium. How's that going to translate the rest of the week? Boy, I don't know. With the price staying low and premiums starting to rise, maybe that's going to affect, customer sentiment a little bit. I haven't raised premiums in my shop yet. In fact, on it was either Friday or Monday. I think it was Friday. I actually finally lowered premiums on American Silver Eagles. I lowered premiums a bit on silver rounds, only to learn, Monday morning, oh, they're going back up.
what
So,
what did you lower them to, if you don't mind me asking?
rounds, I was at $1.75 on a round, uncirculated buffalo round. I lowered them to a buck and a half. And then American Silver Eagles, for the longest time, I was at +6, and I reduced them to +450 per ounce. So that's pretty middle of the road retail, I think, for that kind of stuff right now. But granted, I put those on stuff like that on sale once a week, as part of a flash sale. Not, I mean, one thing per week, but so Yeah, they're still lower than they have been, and now with the drop in spot price, it's an even better opportunity. And with my cost on rounds only going up a nickel, I'm not going to raise my premium to $1.55 because I don't like weird numbers like that. So, um, you can look at it as opportunity, but I sound like a broken record sometime because no matter how you look at markets, whether spot price is high and premiums are low, or spot prices low right now and premiums are starting to go up, they both could have been viewed in their moments as good opportunities. So, you don't really know where the best opportunity was until it was behind you to stack at the best rate. So, for me personally, and I think based on what I know of you and what you put out on your channel, we stack at all prices. I mean, we might change what we stack based on premiums because I don't want to pay $10 over spot for a silver eagle. If that's the time we're in, there's better value in other things. So there's always good opportunity to stack, at a good price for the time. And I think right now there's still a lot of good opportunity, even though premiums are starting to go up. They're going up, you know, 5 cents on my end. You mentioned 30 cents. But when silver price is down $2 from where it was, you're still $1.70, $1.95 cheaper per ounce than it was just a few days ago. So um, I anticipate it's people are going to come out of the woodwork now and maybe start buying, and we're going to start to see less sellers now because of the dip.
Yeah, I actually was going to ask that next. What do you think about sellers? Are people going to be selling less? So I'm glad you answered it. Let me ask you though. You had mentioned Monday in the flash sale. What about Tuesday? It's Wednesday now. How was business yesterday?
So actually, I was closed yesterday. My
Oh,
son had his senior pictures yesterday. So I took the day off to spend time with him and help out with that and ran some errands with my wife. But I'm back in the shop today. I did get a lot of phone calls yesterday. So I anticipate those people are going to be coming in today. But I think it's going to be a good week. We're past the slow period of the year. I keep doing air quotes today. I don't know why. That's not something I do normally. Um, Maybe because you can't see my hands in the video, but um, we're past the slow time of year. We're getting into, the start of school, start of routines again in a lot of parts of the country where, a lot of people tend to start thinking about stacking again and getting back into stacking. So, I think this dip in price is great for those that can afford to keep stacking. It's not great for those that need to liquidate though. And I know there's a large group of people out there that are in situations where they'll have to. But it's I hate to use this term, but ups and downs are part of a healthy market. I mean, it's from most people's perspectives, they won't say it's healthy when silver drops $2 an ounce because their stack was just lowered in value by $2 for every ounce they hold. Believe me, it affects me too in my both business and personal life, but that's just typical market fluctuations. And that's why, we talked about it earlier, long game is so important. If you worried about the ups and downs on a daily basis, just like if you own stocks, I have a customer who owns Apple stock. Apple took a beating this past Monday, but he's an older gentleman and he comes in multiple times a day actually. And oh, what's the price of Apple? Because he can't check on his phone. And usually he'll drive all the way to his broker and have them look it up so they can tell him the ticker price for Apple. But I said, well, you just ask us. We can tell you, my dad and I. So, but I mean, you can't get too worked up about that. When it goes down, yeah, it went down today, but it's only a loss if you have to sell it. So I just have to remind myself that too, because I'm subject to the ups and downs too, both in business and professional, business and personal stack. So it can be painful if you worry about it, but try not to worry.
no, you're absolutely right. I mean, my stock portfolio took a 20% hit in the last month.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, I'm not, that's stuff that I buy for not to sell. I'm not trying to time the market because I think, like you had mentioned earlier with silver, anytime anyone tries to time the market, there's going to be winners, but there's going to be so many more losers. It's so impossible to time it. So you have to stack for long and hold, and you just make sure you keep cash aside so you're not forced to sell it. That's how I look at it, right?
Yeah. I will tell you, when silver was in the 31s and near 32 for a while, there was a lot of winners because myself included, and I know you talked to some shop owners. A lot of people liquidated at that point. There was a day when we were in the $31 an ounce range and change. Um, we bought six figures worth of stuff across the counter, and none of it was pre arranged, just people showing up. First customer of the day showed up with 1,000 face and 90%. Then I had somebody come in with a $60,000 estate that was mostly, there was some collectible coin, but it was mostly scrap metal, like scrap sterling, scrap gold jewelry, and gold and silver. It's good for them that they did that 2 weeks ago. Had they come in today, just think on that, $60,000. I mean, silver is down, well, what, 8% about, or no, 7%? They would have taken a 7% hit on what they got paid. So they were a winner. They timed it well. And whether or not it was intentional or just dumb luck, doesn't matter. Good for them.
I wonder how many of those were actually winners though. Like how many people just bought it, back, during silver squeeze and $10 premiums, or more. So
Some could have. I know the 90% silver seller in particular, that was bought. He had a little handwritten slip of paper inside each bag. He had two $500 bags. I got to remember, I think spot was like $12 and change per ounce when he bought it.
he did well.
He did.
He did well.
Yeah, but there again, he played the long game. He had to hold on to it to see that gain. So, if you can do that, great. So, like I said, don't put all your eggs in one basket, I guess. Don't put all your cash into silver. You have to have cash to live.
For sure. But you know what? I think that's probably more than enough for today. I'm going to let the viewers kind of ingest what you've said and watch the market over the next week or two and see what happens. And we'll probably have you back on because I really want to know how the market reacts, how your customers react to these lower spot prices, assuming that they stay down. I also want to see how the premiums change. So we'll have you back on in a couple of weeks if you're okay with that and talk about it. Is that good?
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, guys, listen, Josh, Minot Coin and Bullion, that's a coin shop in Minot, North Dakota. Make sure you check him out. He has his own YouTube channel, which I will put a link for down below. Josh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.